appreciate it, and I like the message a lot, because I'm really nervous, so I need to be brave.
Come on, John, you can handle it.
So, I was also told by a wise person this morning that I should interject, a joke or some humor,
John,
in
please turn your microphone on.
yeah. I thought I did.
Testing, testing. So OFF is on.
Well, it's supposed to. Is it on now? Now is it on? Yeah, there we go. Thank you. So, in response to being told I should have some kind of humor in it, especially in introduction, I put salami in my shoes so I would feel funny. So, good morning, Unity of Springfield, here on Seminole Street and also on online live stream. Today I'm going to speak about the third series of talks about the group sessions that we've been having about Braving the Wilderness by Brene Brown. And I really like Brene Brown because she deals with emotions and studies emotions like bravery and vulnerability and courage that are emotions and skills that I think we are undervalued and we don't always go to. Also, I wanted to shout out for the group sessions in our faith community. The small groups allow for deeper levels of communion, connection, compassion, community, and challenges in terms of how we're moving forward. And I'm just glad that we were able to use this. Now, Braving the Wilderness, she really works on this kind of a dark premise that we're in this state of division, negativity, and conflict, politically, socially, and also in our families. And a lot of the ideas that we're looking at really apply to any relationship that we're in. And it's been brewing now for several decades. There's this acceptance of this incivility, a way of treating each other in the media and verbally that's rather sad. And it applies to whether we're talking about politics, healthcare, race, gender, lifestyle, economic policy, and justice, both here and abroad. And she's clued us into a strategy that's been used. Let's see, what's the slide up here? Dehumanizing. And it's also something that has become kind of accepted. And again, very sad. And the dictionary definitions from Oxford is that a process of depriving a person of group or positive human qualities. To make somebody lose their human qualities, such as kindness. To make people seem like objects rather than human beings. To address, Webster says, to address or portray someone in a way that obscures or demeans that the person's humanity or individuality. And some simpler words for dehumanize are degrade, disgrace, put down. And that the purpose, she posits that the purpose of dehumanization is to justify behavior that otherwise we wouldn't consider treating other people. If we see them as being similar to ourselves, we just wouldn't do and say these things. But when we've got this blanket of dehumanization going out, and we don't start to see this person as being just like us, then hey, Katie, bar the door. It also exists, families, schools. I think about school bullying as another example of this dehumanizing, and that, again, it's sometimes has some very intense outcomes. Okay, so it's easy to slip into judgment, especially if we're not really seeing that person as a human. And one of the things that really, that I noticed was that she came up with some really good things about that people are dehumanizing not just the people who I disagree with, but I also hear the people who have similar beliefs that I do that are also involved in this dehumanizing behavior. And to me, that's hurtful. I get kind of an ugh response from that. And Brene Brown came up with some examples. She said, if you were offended or hurt when you hear Hillary Clinton or Maxine Waters called bitch, whore, or the C word, you should be equally offended and hurt when you hear those same words applied to Ivanka Trump, Kellyanne Conway, or Theresa May. She also said, if you felt belittled when Hillary Clinton called Trump supporters a basket of deplorables, then you should also feel equally concerned when Eric Trump said Democrats weren't even human. And when the President of the United States calls women dogs or talks about grabbing female body parts, we should get chills kind of down our spine. And when the President of the United States is called a pig, we should reject that language regardless of our politics and demand that language doesn't make people subhuman. So basically, dehumanizing behavior kind of creeps me out. Next slide. So Dr. Brown presents the BRAVING acronym. And I'm not going to spend much time on it other than that I really believe that non-judgment and our practice of non-judgment is a real key in moving forward. Next slide. So she comes up with 4 practices in the book, which is, the first one is, and I kind of paired it with some of the 4 agreements as ways that might fit in to help ease our way in doing these practices. But people are hard to hate when close up, so let's move in. So when you get to know a person, you see them, other aspects of that person besides what it is that you're talking about, it makes it more difficult to have a visceral negative reaction towards them. And don't take what people say or do personally is, I think, a good way of handling that. Speak truth to bullshit and be civil was their second one. And I kind of have an issue with that because I think that the way she kind of defines this, how do you know when somebody is speaking bullshit? Because we're not in their mind and we don't have the context of their past behavior. So to me, it smacks a little bit of making a judgment, which bothers me. But I'd still say being impeccable with your word is the best way to handle that, to speak truth. Hold hands with strangers, don't assume or judge, and be willing to go outside your local neighborhood and be around other people that you don't always associate with. And then strong back, and I have a typo there, it's soft front, wild heart. And that's about knowing thyself, showing compassion, no fear. Next slide, please. Now, one of the things that we look at and why it's so difficult sometimes to get calm enough in our head so we can really respond to these difficult conversations with our values intact is pain. And pain, as she says, and I really take this next statement that I'm going to share, really, I think is very powerful. She says, addressing it with love and compassion would take only a minuscule percentage of energy it takes to fight it. So if our initial response is love and compassion, when we get triggered by something that feels so negative and so ugh, that's going to put us in a much better position to respond with our values rather than go down the rabbit hole and start saying the same kinds of things they're saying just from a different viewpoint. And so it's not that easy, though. So, but we're fortunate because we're Unitics. You know, we come to Unity and we have information brought to us that really helps us to be grounded, to be in a position to go ahead and give that love and compassion. And to deal with that pain. And the other part about the pain is that we're not really enculturated to deal with the pain and to sit with it long enough that we can get past it. And that leaves us vulnerable to being re-triggered and re-triggered and re-triggered over time by those same things that were said. So and those of us that have experienced trauma, we have scar tissue. And nothing is going to ever take away all of that. However, the more we can get centered and know that that other person that just triggered this pain response within you is worthy of compassion, that's a game changer. Next slide. So we have three choices when somebody says something that we think is really hurtful. We can choose to react or overreact as if the messenger in the universe that you just attracted is somehow the enemy. Or we could try to ignore and escape it, pretend that it's not really happening, or avoid our own personal response and stuff it, which sometimes doesn't lead to good outcomes for ourselves. Or by exercising our spiritual muscles of slowing down, looking inward, listening, finding compassion, disciplining our thinking, and finding the courage to act. Next slide. And this is really based on unity principles. There's only one presence, one power in the universe and in my life, God the good, omnipotent. Thanks, Mitch, again, for reminding us that each week. And then there's the God is. All there is universal source everywhere. And I am. Humans are divine. Well, if all humans are divine, then even though they're not acting very divine at the time, they still are. So it's incumbent on us, and we can only control our response. We don't get to micromanage everybody else's behavior, but we can choose a response. And I think if our unity beliefs are setting close to us, then they're easy to reach for. So it's about continuing the practice, and that's why we do this. That's why we come together and reinforce each other and encourage each other. And I think our thoughts have creative power and attract experiences. So that's another piece. So when somebody comes up and triggers you, what place did we play in attracting that? Maybe there's something we're supposed to do. Maybe the responding with a compassionate response is a part of that. I pray coming into alignment, and then next slide. The problem of pain, especially when experienced at high enough levels, we refer to as suffering, really can get us off track sometimes from these unity principles. So there's some technology in the mindful cognitive therapies that have come about that I'm going to talk about a little bit because I think that they can be helpful. The first one is the word dialectical. And dialectical means two ideas that seem to be the opposite from each other can be true at the same time. Perspective, context, and personal experience all play a part. So a lot of times it's not what we hear right off front, but what we don't know that makes a difference. All judgment is opinion. It's the lowest form of thought. I came upon another phrase, too late to get in as a slide, but it's the ability to observe without evaluating is the highest form of intelligence. The ability to observe without evaluating, without judging, without even describing, just take it in as it is. That was by Jiddu Krishnamurti. Tara Brock presented a little story to kind of represent this. Imagine you're walking in the woods and you see a small dog sitting by a tree. And as you approach it, it suddenly lunges at you, teeth bared. You're frightened and angry. But then you notice that one of its legs is stuck in a trap. Immediately, your mood shifts from anger to that of compassion and concern. You see, the dog's aggression is coming from a place of vulnerability and pain. This applies to all of us. When we behave in hurtful ways, it's because we're caught in some kind of a trap. The more we look through the eyes of wisdom at ourselves and one another, the more we'll cultivate a compassionate heart. So what trap are these people in when they're acting in these hurtful ways? It's a good question. Another kind of vulnerability that comes from the literature is vulnerability factors. And this is something that increases the odds that a triggering stimuli will lead to a high level of pain and suffering. Examples of a vulnerability factor that makes us more vulnerable is lack of sleep, hunger, chronic pain, already existing intense emotions, or negative thinking, stressful environment factors such as living situations or caregiver roles. All those factors can make it more difficult. So as we transition into focusing on some practices of self-compassion that include similar words and intentions that Dr. Brown presented in Braving the Wilderness, may we now become centered so that we can have elevated levels that we feel true to ourselves and be able to respond to those around us as we want. So we're going to practice an affectionate breathing meditation to start with. This comes from Dr. Neff and Germer. from a workbook, the Mindful Self-Compassion Workbook. And it's been studied quite a bit in the literature, and there's a lot of basis behind it that it is effective. Not just this one technique, but the overall using self-compassion as a way to help our emotional responses. So take 3 slow, easy, deep breaths to relax and let go of whatever burdens you're carrying around. Then let your eyelids gently close or partially close, whatever makes you more comfortable. Now bring your attention to your breathing. Pay attention where you notice your breathing most easily. For some people, it's in their nose. For some people, it's in their chest, rising and falling. For others, it might be the abdomen, expanding and constricting. Gently explore your body and discover where your breathing is easiest to notice. Just feel your breath for a bit. Notice when your mind has wandered, then feel your breath again. You may also find it's easier to focus on one part, just the inhale or just the exhale. If you do, just feel it then, and then just wait for that next half breath to occur. Let your body breathe you. It does it anyways automatically. Now, bring your hand on your heart for a moment to remind yourself that you will be bringing kind attention to your breathing. Be aware your breath nourishes you, whether you're paying attention to it or not. It is with you from birth until death, more loyal than your closest companion. Allow yourself to appreciate this automatic process that sustains your life wherever you go. And look at your breathing like a mother might look towards a beloved child with curiosity and gratitude. Your mind may wander many times each minute. Don't worry about how often your mind wanders. Just gently return to the feeling of breathing when you notice that you have wandered. Now, just for a moment, rest in the experience of your body, then slowly, gently open your eyes. Next slide. So, doctors that wrote this self-compassion book, they split up the compassion, self-compassion, into 2 groups. One the yin and one's the yang. And the yin contains the attributes of being with yourselves, being with ourselves, in a compassionate way, comforting, soothing, and validating ourselves. And the yang self-compassion is about acting in the world, protecting, providing, and motivating ourselves. So it's more of an active type of compassion. So I'm going to go through, we're not going to go through all of these, but I'm going to take an example of each type of the self-compassions and just give a little bit of a flavor for what you might do and how it might be helpful in setting the table and being ready at any time as we're being self-compassionate to be prepared for triggers that might be out there in the world, which we know they're out there. So self-compassionate everyday life is one that I like, because you're not just necessarily sitting down and meditating the whole time. And there's no right way or wrong way to do this. It's something we already do to some extent, but it's something we can put more focus on. It's about putting self-care into practice in the ordinary activities of our life. Physically, exercise, physical exercise. It could be meditation. A cup of tea, massage, even self-massage. Warm bath or shower. Anything where we're just softening. Mentally, also meditation. Watching a funny movie, inspirational reading, getting right thinking. Emotionally, petting your cat or dog, journaling, cooking, a gratitude practice that you might even share with another person. Relationally, connecting with others, sending a card, meet with friends, play a game. Pickleball, that's the way I do it. And are there ways that we can enrich that? Because she does, the thing about feeling connected and feeling belonging, when we have that, it gives us more ability to respond. And then spiritually, how do you take care of yourself spiritually? Pray, walk in the woods, gardening, helping others, listening to music, playing music, reading good books, and anything else you might want to remember to do to nurture your spiritual side. There's some other soothing attributes. We already did the meditation. Validating attributes. One I really liked, the best one I liked that they shared, is being a compassionate mess. And that's getting comfortable with our imperfectness. In this moment, the practice of unconditional acceptance. So pick a mild to moderate situation, and all the exercises in this book, in an effort not to re-traumatize yourself, pick situations that are just give you, to start getting skilled and until you get more confident, practice with mild to moderate responses or triggers. And put this in your mind out loud, a written word that you experience a discomfort and how you're showing up. And the discomfort is, how do you show up? How are you responding? If you're not comfortable with the way you did show up into these situations, instead of changing the subject, sit with the discomfort. Acknowledge it. Accept ownership. And send kindness to yourself. As if you noticed this in a good friend and you want to show them some support. That just because they responded in that way doesn't make them a rotten person, nor does it you. And then accompany yourself through this moment with your own loving, connected present. It's natural to resist, to let go of striving to get it right or accepting our imperfection. We want to feel safe, and making mistakes makes us feel unsafe. So try to begin to accept ourselves and our human flaws and see what happens. Then the yang, next slide, yang self-compassion. One I like is feeling the soles of my feet, especially since I've got some stuff in there. So research shows this practice can help regulate strong emotions such as anger. So standing up, and if you want, you can stand up. Notice the sensations of touch in the soles of your feet. And to better feel that sensation in the soles of your feet, you can try gently walking forward and backward, sideways, bend the knees a little bit in a circle, and focus just on that tactile sensations on the soles of our feet. And when your mind starts to wander, just notice that sensation in the soles of your feet. And you can try then walking. You can do this as a walking meditation as well. And give gratitude to the soles of your feet for the work that they do to get us around, to stand, to be strong. And let yourself feel whatever it is after you've then gone back to just standing still again. Let yourself feel whatever it is you're feeling, and let yourself just be who you are, as you are. Fierce compassion, I don't really have time for this one, but it's Gandhi and Martin Luther King. It's taking anger and shaping it into positive change and action. Finding your compassionate voice is what I'm going to finish with. And this is writing down something, a behavior that you have that you would like to change. And you come into awareness, if you haven't already, with that inner critic that has been letting you know that this behavior really should be better. And listen to this critic, observe what this inner critic is telling you, and ask yourself the question, is the inner critic saying this for my benefit? Is it really? And if it is, give it credit. Give it credit. If not, then note that as well. And then make some space for that compassionate voice to look on at this behavior that you want to change. And again, think about if this was your child or your friend that was in this situation of wanting to change this behavior, what would you say to this person that you care deeply about? And share some of those same thoughts of wisdom with yourself. Be aware of your desire to help yourself make a positive change. And write down what you need to hear to help overcome doubts and negative distractions that prevent manifestation of the you that you want to be. And I hope that you, after we meet and we remind ourselves of all of these unity principles and love and compassion, and I hope that we go out each day and we revisit this acts of self-compassion, this practice of self-compassion, and fine-tune it so that we are impervious to what's going on in the outside world that can bring negativity and increase our pain level. And I say, namaste.
As the band is coming forward, and we have our ushers coming forward also. This is a chance for us to give them your token of all of our appreciation for all the wonderful things that happen in our lives.
Nice. Well, gosh, I hope you come back. That was wonderful. Thank you. And John, that was brave. Wonderful. Good job up here. Okay, some announcements. Meditation is tonight at 6 p.m. and is open to everyone. Our monthly board meeting is tomorrow night at 6 p.m. Guests are welcome when we ask that you arrive around 6:30, 6:25. This Tuesday, October the 29th, from 6 to 8 p.m. at the O'Reilly Center for Hope, the Community Partnership of the Ozarks is having a crisis cold weather shelter volunteer training. This is for all new and returning volunteers. Some of the topics covered will be de-escalation, harm reduction, and using Narcan. They're providing food, and you can sign up in the foyer, or you can scan the QR code and sign up online. The Mat Makers meet every Thursday at 10 a.m. This is a group that weaves sleeping mats out of plastic bags that people have donated and for the unsheltered. Their goal is 100 mats in 100 days, and they would love for you to come and help. This past Thursday was day 64, and they have donated 67 mats. So well done to you guys. Well done.
Oh, we still need your help.
Still need help. The Crisis Cold Weather Shelter season officially starts this Friday, November 1st. Cannot believe that, this Friday. And it runs through March the 31st. When the overnight temperature is forecasted to be below 32 degrees or 32 degrees, we will open our doors to 25 people who need a warm, safe place to sleep. They are inclusive and open to everyone, and our shelter is only possible because of the volunteers. Please share this information with your friends and family and ask if they would be willing to be involved. There are lots and lots of opportunities to be involved, from bringing food to spending overnight, or being the hostess and getting everyone checked in, or coming in the morning and cleaning up after they leave. Lots and lots of opportunities, and so incredibly rewarding. They are so grateful, and it's saving lives. It really is. So it's an amazing, amazing thing. If you have Facebook, share it. It's on our page. Share it on your page so we can get enough volunteers, because we can't be open if we don't have the volunteers. It's daylight savings time. Remember to turn your clocks back 1 hour this Saturday, November the 2nd. Our next Sunday, there will be no 9:15 adult education class. And our next Friendship Sunday potluck is next Sunday, so November the 3rd. Everyone is invited to bring a dish and stay after the service for the fellowship. Please sign up in the foyer if you plan to bring something. Also next Sunday at 1:30 p.m., Deidre D'Amico. Deidre, will you stand up so they can see who you are? She will begin a 3-part astrology workshop on understanding your rising sun and moon signs. Participants will learn the meaning and significance of these signs, and the classes will be November 3rd, 10th, and 17th from 1:30 to 2:30 p.m. You can sign up in the foyer. It's time for our fall fundraiser. Join us November the 9th for a Falling for Unity dinner. Inside there will be live music and a silent auction, food and drinks. Outside there will be a bonfire and s'mores. Tickets are $20, and this includes dinner, s'mores, and 2 drinks. We are needing silent auction items and desserts, and we will also need volunteers to help set up and tear down. Please sign up in the foyer for that. It's always a great event, lots and lots of fun. And if you want to relax and rejuvenate, bring a pillow and a blanket. and join us on November the 16th at 2 p.m. for a cosmic gong journey. This is a unique combination of sonic sound healing and frequency arrangements that target the healing of the mind, body, and spirit. Tickets are $20, and the class is limited to 20 participants. You can purchase your tickets online or in the office. Today starts the 8th and final week of our 8 items and 8-week shelter donation drive. The last item is soft cereal or granola bars. It's not too late to grab a list in the foyer and purchase the items. And if you don't like to shop, we have the Amazon wish list, and you can order all 8 items, and they'll be shipped to the church. And I'm sure we will still accept your donations. If you still don't have them after this week, we will always accept your donations. Once you have brought all of your 8 items, please give Lisa your list with your name on it, and you will be entered for the prize drawing of $100. So that's pretty good. Also, just FYI, our cornhole tournament got rained out, and we did not get to finish the championship. So today, after the service, we will be out here finishing. It will be Steve and Linda Kittle versus Lisa and I for the championship for the cornhole tournament. So if you want to watch, then we'll be out there playing after the service. All right, if you will stand with me and join in our prayer for protection. Together. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. And the presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well.